Hello survivors, and welcome to another video. In today's video we are playing Spell Disc Survivor. It is a demo that I just randomly found on Steam. I don't even remember how I got there, but it is a fantastic game. So make sure that you wishlist it if you enjoyed the video. It's going to be a really cool game once it is finished, or once it's in early access, which will be on the 18th of September, I believe it was. So far in the demo you got two weapons. I've never used the guitar yet. I've used the staff. You do get to auto attack, and then you hold for your charged attack as well, and that's going to deal damage as well as apply certain spells, but we'll get into how all of that works. There are two difficulties. We're going to play on standard for now, and we're also going to go and grab the rogue helmet over here. It says increase crit chance and critical hits provide 5 mana to a random disc, so that's going to be fantastic. It does remove our staff, so we no longer have an auto attack, but what that means is the skills that we've got over here are going to automatically apply over a certain amount of time. So this apply lightning orb that continuously deals damage. It is a continuous one, or we've got an ice spike, create an ice spike on the target, or we've got a flame wave, which is a fire explosion. So I don't know which one to go for actually. This is 70 mana, 50 mana, and 90 mana. The mana does make a big difference because that determines how often the spell goes off. Let's start off a bit with the slow one. Let's get straight into it. Now what happens is there are conditions in the game that you need to apply, and when these conditions are, well, you need to meet conditions. That's a better word, meet. Now when you meet these conditions, you are then able to, ooh, that's actually really good over here. So explosion and continuous are considered as the same type, or fire and cold are considered the same type. Ooh. We're probably going to land up getting a cold skill, so let's go with continuous over there. Now what happens is you get something called spell discs. It's the name of the game, Spell Disc Survivor, and each disc has its own condition to be met. So over here, when spell is finished, what that means is now whenever I complete a spell, it will give 40 mana production. It will give 40 mana. And then if I put a spell that needs 40 mana in that disc, it will then cast that spell every time I finish a other skill. So that's how it works. We'll see once we get another skill to apply or to put into there. Oh my gosh, we got the best skill that I think is in the game. It's called a Blizzard Orb. It is a blunt cold spell. It shoots an ice orb that sprinkles ice shards everywhere. Think of Arcane Orb or Shadow Orb from Soulstone Survivors. We grab it over there. It gets linked to the spell finish disc. So now every time we finished using our fire skill, you can see it produced mana. And then when that mana goes to full, it then applies the skill, and it's going to help apply its own mana as well. And now it just becomes a really funny ice globe effect. So we're going to increase its critical chance. That's fantastic. We could actually go for the mana production as well over here, but I think grabbing ourselves more increased crits just going to be a lot better for us. The skills themselves are going to be self-sufficient and cause themselves to be applying each other eventually. So they kind of cause each other's conditions to be met, and or whenever the ice orb finishes, it causes its own condition to be met as well, therefore causing more of the mana to be produced. So this skill creates its own mana using the spell disc. So very cool. Now we are running with crit, so getting ourselves the Shadow Hood just makes a lot of sense. So now we've got even more crit hits on enemies with max life. Fantastic. And then at the top right corner, if you take a look over here, there is a timer. The timer goes down, not up. It started off on 9 minutes if you didn't notice it, and 10 minutes, and it's a 10-minute run. Really cool. I don't know if the higher difficulty makes the timer go up. That will be something that we're going to see further on into the future. If you guys enjoyed the video, obviously I'll make more content on it. and also go forward, get the game, and make even more ridiculous builds, or try to make ridiculous runs in the game going forward. But as you can see, I think this one has already started with the ridiculousness. So we actually get an epic upgrade over here for damage, 45% increased damage. The only thing I don't like is that it's enter to get into your inventory. I do need to maybe change the key binding there. You can change all of your key bindings, make it escape or something instead, just so that you are able to access it a lot easier, because a lot of the time I play like one-handed or with the mouse and keyboard, so I don't often have my hand near the enter button. But deal damage to enemies passed through dash, no, we're not interested. Decrease overheat, that's okay. We can go and grab that for now. The overheat is kind of like a cooldown for your discs, so the lower the overheat, the better. It just means that you're going to be able to apply the disc's effect more often and more frequently. So getting yourself less overheat is going to be, you know, beneficial for you. Alright, we're actually going to go and grab reduced damage taken, since, you know, we are on a helmet speciality right now. We've got the helmet for the crit chance and the crit damage. We've got the helmet for the crit chance from max HP enemies. And just things like that. So we actually have something going on everywhere over there, and you can just see it bouncing between everything. On crit, you can stack critical damage with a half critical chance. I have no idea what that means, but it's critical, and we are running crit chance, so we're gonna grab it. Just makes sense. I don't know what that means. Some of the English over here does need a little bit of tweaking just to make it a little bit more sense. That one was a good example of it. I have no idea what it was trying to say to me, but it doesn't matter because it's going to work fine anyway. Lightning over here, when lightning status is triggered, we do have a lightning spell, but we're not using it. So when target dies is actually a much better one. So every time a target dies, it will then apply the boom bolt, or every time a target dies we get 20 mana, and then after it's applied 70 mana we will then apply boom bolt, which drops a bolt around the caster. So we'll see what it does. Oh, it actually lands up on enemies, not on us. So when they say around the caster, I thought it would be like the fire spell that we've got as well, where it lands by wherever we're standing. But no, this just jumps to, it looks like the closest enemy, which is even better. Alright, increase the damage over here of our orb, that's perfect. And there is our first little mini boss. We just like walked into his attack, fantastic. You know, just the perfect thing if you want to die, just walk into them, it makes a lot of sense. But let's just dodge out of the way over there. Fantastic. Applying cold affliction to nearby enemies. So what happens is you can actually get a spell disc that says when you apply cold affliction, it creates mana. So this artifact can actually proc that disc as well. So as long we're actually going to grab it, because I have a feeling we're going to grab that spell disc. Also, you can have 6 discs and 6 spells with 6 artifacts. And that's going to probably help us. I think the cold exposure, I do need to go through the tutorial a little bit just to double check what things like the cold exposure do. I think cold exposure is, I'm not sure if the cold affliction, sorry. I don't know if cold affliction gives it so that you deal more damage with cold, or if it makes it so enemies slow down. But I don't really like the sound of Thunderwolf, so we're going to go for a flat 50% increased damage. That's a rare upgrade or legendary upgrade in the game, it looks like. You know, yellow is usually your legendary, uncommon, common and rare, you know. The colors kind of make sense. All of these are just normal. Create 4 fire pillars around the target, or when a spell is created, we create mana. So, I mean, yeah, when a spell's created, 45 mana is produced. That is actually a huge one. It might even be stronger than this one over here, because this is a creation of mana. So we're actually going to grab that one over there, and that's going to make it so that this goes off even more now. Well, in theory, it's supposed to. but it doesn't look like it actually is. Alright, spell creation. So we're going to go and increase the mana production for it. Now it creates 60 mana. That's huge. Because I think our spell only needed 60 mana. But I do think it actually just went weaker. So we'll put a different spell in there. Just because the spell ending one worked a lot better on this skill. You can already see it's made a huge difference. So we're going to change it. Just push enter. We're going to change these two up again. It just worked a lot better the way it was working. Okay, come on. Alright, so we got a new spell over here. Create 5 obelisks around the target. We are going to grab it because we do need another spell. And that's going to be our skill as well. And the more spell... Oh gosh, it's going crazy over here. So the more spells we create, the more spells, we shoot off as well, because they kind of all work together, the discs. So the one creates on the spell creation, it casts the spell, and when the spell ends, it casts the other spells. So it all gains mana for that spell disc. Really interesting concept, and I think it's just a really cool game. Very fresh new concept to the whole survival bullet hell thing. Genre thing to the genre, and I think it's just really fantastic that they've thought about something different compared to the other ones. And yes, even though it's the same as just having the spells go off on their own time, there is a little bit more management involved in it, where the other games don't necessarily have it as much. So over here we can actually go cold status is triggered, so that's where that other artifact comes in handy. So what happens is this actually applies cold status or cold affliction, and that means that this is going to produce 25 mana as long as we are close to enemies. So when a target dies 20 mana, this is 25 mana. Let's see what happens. Let's just check if it goes off a lot more often, and you can see it's going off like crazy. We do have 2 other cold skills as well. So we are applying a lot more cold than we would have, like targets dying, I guess. I think it's a bit of both. And that item we just picked up was a vacuum, and that's going to increase the mana production. Fantastic. So that vacuum is fantastic. That's going to give us more XP, and we can now increase the damage of our Boreal Obelisk. That was a rare upgrade as well. So a nice big amount of damage increase over there. Alright, you can see we're critting quite a lot as well now, although our crit chance on our status board is quite low, but we're still critting very often. Obviously if the HP of the enemy is max, it will automatically crit because of our artifact. And we've also got a trap now. So let's put the trap down. It is called Pierce. That means now if we get a piercing, what's the word I'm looking for? A pierce spell disc, we can then apply that or get that one to automate as well, because we now have a skill that is piercing. And because it's going off so often, we are just putting down a crazy amount of spell traps. It's just really funny seeing all of that amount. I don't even know what hit us. I think it was the boss. So we do have a mushroom spawned over here. Let's just let him run a bit up, and we are now going to increase the crit chance of our Blizzard Orb. Fantastic. Alright, is he more on the map? Yes, he is. That's fantastic. Or yes, it is. I don't actually know. It doesn't really matter too much. It's a game. And we're going to keep going. Increase crit chance. Fantastic. We have a level 5 Ice Orb. That is huge. And let's keep going. It might actually be better to move this from spell finished to cold status. So that's creating 36 mana. This only needs 90 mana. Okay, let's try that. Let's see. Oh, whoops. Because maybe it will apply it more often now. I don't know. I feel like it's not going off as fast as it could be going off. Okay, for each critical damage dealt, we apply 50% mana production. That's cool. We just need to get another skill to put in there. We do crit quite a lot and quite often, so that's fantastic. And all those blue beams that you see are actually our spell discs. They're casting the spells on the enemies that they run off to. 5 additional spells. Oh wait, that's huge. Okay. Yes, please. Oh my gosh, that just means that we apply 5 more of those obelisks along the map. That's huge. That is a big spell. Okay, maybe I found an even better spell than the Ice Orb one. Because this Ice Orb one, I mean, it could just be the way that the spells go. This isn't actually hitting any enemies, so it's not really helping us too much. Spell finished decreases overheat. Oh, we can grab that. I am going to move these back because it doesn't seem like it's working the way I want it to, unfortunately. But we could actually even get mana, 50% mana produced on crit damage for each critical damage dealt. 50% mana for each. I wonder. Let's try this and see. I don't know if it's because of the overload. That might be because of its overload. You can see it's struggling. Its overload or its overheating is too high. The overheating is too high. That's what it is. So what is the overheat of this? We have decreased overheat. That's why. Okay. There we go. That's why this one creates more of that. That overheat that's being caused is just way too high. So getting cooldown reduction is a really, really good thing to look for. So no, let's re-roll. I'm looking for decreased overheat. That's perfect. And then we're going to try and see if we can get even more overheat going on over there. So it looks like overheat reduction is going to be very, very important for this. We've got a level 2 overheat over there. Was that this one over here? Yeah, it was. We get even more, less overheat going on, and that's going to help us apply the spells even faster. So, you know, overheat definitely something I have been overlooking, but having these spells and things like that definitely makes it a lot more conscious of the overheat mechanic in this game. So there's a lot going on over here, and I'm learning a little bit more every single time. A 45% increase in mana production. We don't even have a skill that's going in there. Oh, do you know what we could actually do? I wonder if we can... Oh, you need to have your weapon spell. I was gonna say, what happens if we put like something else in there instead? So that's 80 mana, that's 90 mana. We could do something like that. Not that it actually matters, because that spell... Oh, it actually does matter. It casts the spell on enemies instead of around us. Oh yeah, that's much better actually. Because now the traps land up at our feet instead of everywhere else on the map. I think that makes a difference at least. I'm not 100% sure, but... you know, you get to mix and match, and that's the beauty of this game. It's kind of like a... I think like you could say like a bio prototype meets a survival bullet hell. Although bio prototype was a roguelite as well, but because of the way that the system of the game worked, this definitely has that same feeling. Now we've got meteors of ice dropping on enemies' faces. This was definitely an ice type run. Very, very cool. Very, very exciting to just see the amount of chaos on the screen going on over here. So I'm just really happy that this is working out. We've got a minute left to survive. There is a marker on the map. If you have a look now on the right hand side, you can see a little circle. That is the boss over there. So at least you do get to see where the boss is, so you can just kind of be wary and not die to him. We actually do have 2 bosses up at the same time. I think that's more because I haven't really been focusing. Ooh, man, both of these are so good. Okay, we gotta go for the crit damage. It just makes so much sense. But I really would have loved to have both of them at the same time. I think they really need to introduce a lock mechanism in this game so that you can lock some upgrades, so that if you wanted to, that could be great. Proximity disc, so when you're close to an enemy, and then there's also the sparking laser. It looks like it's a really good, really strong skill, and then pierce, and that works together. But let's go for this zapping laser. We don't have a disc for it just yet, but you know, we've only got 30 seconds left anyway, so it's not such a big deal. We've definitely passed this run. Alright, so when the target with fire affliction dies, sure, let's go grab that. At least we get to see the lightning spell occur, and you can see it going off over there. So we managed to get 6 spells going, and we can actually stand still now and not take any damage. Everything just dies for the next 10 seconds, where we are just insanely strong. And even though we are very, very strong, it doesn't stop you from finding new discs or new spells. And it will be really, really cool if they get an endless mode in the game. That's just going to help you become even stronger and get up to even more ridiculous builds and things like that. So having more time, 10 minutes, I think 15 minutes is a really good time for games. But we dealt a huge amount of damage there. It's not our best, fastest run, but definitely the most damage we've done and the most XP we've gained. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And always remember, keep safe, survivors. Until next time, cheers.